Hey y'all, welcome back to For the Fans, where tonight we are going to talk about the latest episode of Survivor, where we witnessed some more important talks, some truth bombs were dropped, and we got a Texas-sized heartache. So Frank and Kevin, what are your thoughts on this awful, awful episode of Survivor?
I didn't think it was awful. I love it. Ricard go far. Hashtag Ricard go far.
Okay, if you're joining with us and you didn't catch our last video, Frank is a little glitchy tonight. So he's here. You may hear his voice. You just may not see his face move with it all the time. And if you are joining live, make sure you drop us some comments. Let us know your thoughts about the episode. Are you happy that we lost Danny? Do you think Ricard's going to win? Kevin, what do you think?
I do not think if Ricard makes it, he wins. I don't think Ricard makes it. Let me just say that. Before that, though, Danny, man, I like that dude a lot. I think everybody liked that dude a lot, actually. I think he was a very well-liked guy on the show, and sad to see him go. But it happens sometimes, and you can't stick around. Everyone can't stick around that you like, but Danny is one that we're going to miss.
Yeah. Such like a nice, genuine dude. Really glad that we got to see him play. I do think he kind of puts a good twist onto the pro athlete name in Survivor because, as we talked about in our last show, they haven't always been the best. And I think Danny, kind of raises the bar a little bit for what we've seen from a professional athlete. So let's just get into this episode and let's talk more about the conversation continued from Tribal. Carries over into the next day where we get to see like this one-on-one conversation with Deshawn and Heather. So what are your takeaways from this convo?
I thought it was good that Heather was able to recognize her things that she has blind spots to in terms of race and whatnot. And it was interesting that as real as Deshawn was, they all, first off, Zander complimented him on how eloquent he spoke, which is a interesting thing because, like, on one hand, you thank them because he did speak eloquently and he was able to articulate all the things that he felt, but it does make one wonder, does he, like, I'm sure Zander meant no ill intent by it. Right, by his phrasing and telling him how eloquent he spoke, but it can be problematic because it could infer other things that you did not expect him to speak eloquently for reasons that we're not going to get into here.
Yeah, so I mean, I can see your point there. Like now that you bring that up, I could see where that could be misconstrued. This may also kind of like go into something where, maybe a little bit we don't recognize it because it's not a stereotype that our demographic typically has to deal with because I didn't even think about that. And that's a thought that came across.
It's a microaggression. It's called a microaggression.
Like I just took it as him saying like, oh, I appreciate what you said. You said it so well.
Yeah, and that's what he meant by it. But it can be seen as a microaggression. And Deshawn didn't seem like he took it that way, but it definitely could be. So when he said like, "Hey man, you spoke so eloquently, and thank you for explaining that," and I was like, Zander, the thanking part is fine when you say someone's spoke eloquently and was able to articulate the thing. You're kind of inferring a thing sort of sometimes, so that's something you just gotta be aware of. But other than that, I loved how Deshawn, interestingly enough, Deshawn said these things non-gameplay related. They were all very heartfelt and true, and they seem though to be able to help him in terms of the actual game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Which was weird. So I thought that was an interesting thing because he talks to Zander says that as he walks off to go talk to Danny, and then Deshawn talks to Erica and to Heather, and both of them like compliment him on that and say the things we didn't have to think about. Erica said that there was a thing that is a thing she has thought about, along with the female aspect of it, and so both of those things being said, it was kind of helped Deshawn's game to help get him in better with these people he already had a semi-working relationship with.
Yeah. Frank?
Yeah, I'm scared to talk because I've not
Yeah,
been
you're just
talking
about to
because I've
jump
been
in.
trying to like jump on these different things with the internet to fix it. So like, and then I'll be so focused on trying to fix the internet that I'm like, what were they talking about?
All right. Well, you can hop in whenever you feel ready. Don't feel like you're going to interrupt us.
Okay.
Dragon Monkey in the comments, he mentioned that Zander was just being overly nice, and I agree. And like, I don't think that Zander meant it to be a microaggression at all. It was not meant to be offensive in any way. He was being as genuine as he could be. But that's sometimes the hard part about microaggressions is that they can you can mean one thing, but it definitely can be like misconstrued or something like that as a different way.
Yeah, it like kind of comes back to a thing of perception is reality, and like, Xander might have meant it completely unoffensively, but not that it looked like Deshawn received it that way, but to Deshawn he could have interpreted it another way because of his experiences. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of looks through the world through a different lens. I had to explain that in a little conflict resolution I did at work this week, and it's just people. The more we communicate, the better we're going to understand where people are coming from, how they're feeling, and how they're seeing things, because everyone's going to have a different perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's good because this has just opened up conversations for everybody because, like I said, Kevin, I didn't think about it from that perspective until you said it. And I was like, oh yeah, I could definitely see how that could have been conveyed in that way. And so I think that, this whole season, but especially these last 2 or 3 tribal councils have really opened that up to lots of conversations that I think are good to have, because anytime we can all learn more about each other and, know where somebody else is coming from, I think that helps everybody.
Agreed.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, especially seeing Heather, an older white female who is, the older you are, the less likely you are to really change and step back and reflect on yourself and put things into perspective. At least from my experience, the older people in my life, like my parents, the older they get, the more set in their ways they are. So, not saying that my parents in that situation, I'm talking more about like, Dad, you need to drink water and your diet needs to be a little better. It's stuff like that. Yeah, they're a little less likely to budge. So I thought it was cool seeing Heather really reflect and grow.
Yeah, I think it was good, and I like that it was able to carry over, because I'm sure, like, especially when that it's in the game environment, when you're at tribal council, so much is on the line, and I think being able to kind of sleep on it and then the next day wake up and be able to have an even more in-depth conversation is also a good thing. So I like seeing that. And Kevin, I like that you point out that it does kind of put him in a little bit of a better. My dad's driving scares me. Same. But it does just put it into a different perspective of how Deshawn was able to cultivate these relationships even more too off of this.
And like I said, it wasn't meant to, I didn't at one point feel like it was gameplay at all, which is great. It definitely was
genuine real life things. He's able to make further game connections.
Yes.
So that's kind of like the mark of a really good Survivor player. So after these conversations, though, let's back it up a little bit. Let's talk about Danny and Deshawn's reaction of like, WTF is wrong with these guys? Like, why did they not vote out Ricard? Only idiots would keep Ricard here. And Frank, we know Ricard's your boy. You go hard for him. So tell us, was this the dumbest move ever to keep Ricard in the game?
Yes, it's the dumbest move ever. It's just like if you're playing with Frank and you keep him in the game. It's the dumbest move ever. You shouldn't do it. People have been known to do it before. Crazy things happen, you know? Expect the unexpected, as Julie would say. Like,
This guy. This guy. It was a bad listen, it was a bad move, but not really, right? So like it was as bad as taking out Shan instead of taking out one of their numbers because they have numbers in that group. So when they blindsided Liana and took out Shan, that was a bad move and it weakened their numbers. And after that, they just lost their numbers after like one by one. With that being the case, Liana going next, they didn't realize that by taking out Shan that they flipped from the top to the bottom. They thought that they were just making a good move that they needed to in the game. Now, Shan was going to win the game if she stuck around, so they still had to take her out at some point. So I get that. But keeping Ricard over Liana was a good move for Erica and Heather and Zander because they still have the numbers, and they were people that didn't have the numbers for a very long time. So they had no real interest in working with Danny and Deshawn. So it was a good move for them.
Yeah, I think it's kind of going to be like a hindsight's 2020 type thing. If you know Zander wins $1 million next week, then it was a really, really dumb move. And if they're able to get him out, because like Dragon Monkey says in the comments, like one immunity win that he doesn't get, then he's gone.
So Dragon Monkey says, I think it's just that they're hedging their bets. That Ricard, if he doesn't win immunity once, then they'll be 3-3, and he's right. Like the numbers weren't in their favor, which is why you keep that 4-2 majority, and then you take out Ricard next, so then you can like ping pong back and forth. Unfortunately, though, things don't always work out the way you like.
Plot twist: Ricard is going to win immunity, and that's.
Before we get there, though, we have the reward challenge, man, and we have my guy Deshawn asking for a letter from home because after that hard tribal the night before, he definitely needed like some kind of like love from the house. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like how Jeff tried to play my dude out to be like he was a fool for asking for love for like a loved one's visit type situation.
Yeah, so, I mean, when this comes on and Deshawn is like, hey, we don't want chicken and veggies and sweets. We want a letter from home. I was like, y'all got 4 days left in this game, and it's only been 20 since the whole thing started. Like, y'all are fine. And my husband was
No,
like,
Kylie, think about it. Okay, Kylie, they had 2 weeks probably of.
Called me out on this. He was like, "You shut up. You could not do that." And I was like, "I couldn't do that, obviously, like because I've only spent like 3 days away from my child in a decade." But you know what I mean? These people, they should be able to go 3 weeks without getting
no. Okay, so first off, they had the quarantine. Right, so they've been gone for like 2 weeks. The world is still scary when they're going to go out there. And so on top of that, they then go and they're playing this extremely hard game where they haven't had food and water. They've had to make tough decisions getting people out that they have genuinely cared about. They need a little bit of love to, Jeff says, need a little bit of love to help push them to the end. And that's what they were looking for. I don't feel like that is ridiculous that he was looking for that.
I don't think it is either. In the real foot game I played, there were people that were out there for 5 days and got a chance to call a loved one. And I was losing. You're a psychopath like me, Kylie, and that's probably why you don't understand it. And I was just behind the cameras. I was already out of the game at this point, and I'm just watching like, are you crazy? Like, save that money for a reward or for an advantage or like some food, like anything. You've been away for 5 days, like, but no, people miss people, I guess, a lot. I miss my wife if I'm gone, but I'm playing a game to win.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
she's
I'm
at home
thinking,
and she understands.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop them from winning. It doesn't mean that they're not trying to win.
I guess my thinking is if I've already gone, Kevin, like you said, presumably 2 weeks in quarantine, and then they're on day 21 at this point. So it's been about 4 weeks.
5 weeks.
5 weeks. I'm bad at the math. We know this. Okay. It's been about 5 weeks. And you have to go 4 more days, and you can get this great advantage of protein and vegetables that are going to help you win $1 million. Like, it's been 5 weeks. You can go 4 days. That is
well, on top of that, though, the family visit is a bit of a milestone on Survivor in the past.
I can understand that, but I don't think they're going to get it at all this year.
We're not. I agree with you. But we're drop the four, keep the one, right? This is new, the new territory. So at this point, we're at 5, and Deshawn's like, when are we going to see our family members? And just like, you're not. And that's what it's like.
You can also come into this with the expectation of you're not going to get a family visit. Like, there's no way.
No, you should not come into this
a week after you, because
you should not. Which is why he asked for a letter. He thought he would get like a video. I mean, in 8 or in All Stars, they got like a video and stuff. In 6 in Amazon, they got a video and got to see. That was how long ago?
They got videos too, right? Because Jenna didn't. They didn't send a video in time. Sorry, Jenna.
I like what Australian Survivor does, and I don't think they'll do it this season, but I could see them doing it in future seasons, is having them there at the final challenge to put you in to the final night, the final tribal. Like, I could see them doing it that way, and I love it that way, because then your family's there rooting you on. They give 110% more, and it kind of fuels them at the challenge.
I mean, I feel like the quarantine cost of it, like flying them out to Fiji,
I definitely agree.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. COVID. So, but like, that's why Deshawn was like, I would like a letter from home, and he's like, do you not want chicken or what, Deshawn? Over there asking for food. What are you looking for here?
Well, anyways, he should have taken the chicken and been grateful, is all I'm getting at. Okay, so let's
I could understand asking for potatoes too. I could see trying to up to that, because meat and veggies is great, but let's get some carbs in there.
So, okay, this reward challenge, we get them broken into their 2 groups. We've got Danny and Deshawn on opposite teams, which has not happened. Da-da-da. All right, so we've got Danny, Heather, and Ricard.
And
we've got Erica, Deshawn, and Zander. And these are actually going to be very evenly matched. Like, all 3 managed to do their little swim and getting their puzzle pieces or boobies or whatever the hell they were. And they're like at the mat, neck and neck. And it comes down to shooting. I'm like, Danny, fixing to show them how a pro athlete handles this bitch. And no. Danny says, I am in the NFL. I am not in the NBA. Thank you.
I like how Danny took a couple shots. It was like, not happening. Ricard, get up here. What was Heather doing, though, getting out the water?
Heather was like, well, I'm just going to rest, okay? You can rest, and you go retrieve those.
They were a hot mess. I bet the other team probably shot twice as much, because they had no one rebounding.
Yeah.
No one.
No, they did. Okay, so once Danny got out there to the other ring, because they were going in order, right? So they did the one on this side, and then they moved over, and then they went to the one in the back. So once he finally got over to that side where the ball to rebound, he was there the rest of the time. And then when he switched if he had switched to the last basket, I think he would have swam to the 3rd basket.
So
yeah, I think he would have, but having multiple people out, like somebody right by the basket, somebody a little farther in case they overthrow,
you're right.
Got to help. Like,
well,
any overthrows are gone.
I think Heather was going to the platform, because at a certain point in time, like, if she can't even tread water, like, what's she going to do? She's either going to have to get to the platform or she's going to have to float. So,
True.
She could have just hung on to the platform, to the rings at least. Just hang there and.
They might have been told she couldn't touch it.
Yeah,
I could definitely see them not being told they couldn't touch it. I could definitely see that.
She could have held onto the platform in the water. She didn't have to crawl all the way out. What are you doing, Heather? What are you doing?
I say let Heather shoot. Just let her shoot.
Yeah. So, we saw how well that worked last time Heather had to throw a ball on top of the thing. So anyways, not surprisingly, Zander, Deshawn, and Erica pull out this win, and they get to go on the reward. Did y'all think Jeff's going to have some letters for him?
I did! I did!
I was like, oh, Jeff, you wouldn't do that to them. And he sure the hell did, okay? He said, nope. I told you chicken and vegetables, and that's what you're getting. Dumpers and brats.
And I didn't like how he called out Deshawn when they got out there, and he said something about Deshawn wanting some love. It's like, come on, Jeff, you're the number one person that likes the family visits. You like the family visits more than the people do. Come on, Jeff, you don't want to see them cry?
What does it mean to be brothers? Like, to have someone that is from the loins of your mother.
Oh, it was such a beautiful relationship. Mothers and their sons. Man, we never get
inside of her body. What does that
You never
mean?
Get the ultimate love like a mother and her son. What is that feeling like? Tell me about it. That is it.
It's like Jeff, we call Julie Chen the Chin bot, but it's
Chinbot? Yeah.
Jeff is like, I don't understand human relationships, so explain them to me.
Explain this to me.
So
That's why Survivor started, so he could observe humans to understand them. He's actually a higher being from another planet. New theory.
Brother! We get to miss the cringeworthiness of Jeff in a family visit, so I'm not entirely upset about this. But during this reward, we see Deshawn really putting in the work and like, hey, look at the three of us. Like, we are so different.
Look at us. Look at you. Like that Paul Rudd video. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Look at us. The three of us. How about this?
This is good.
Me?
We have all three played such different games. We should definitely sit at the final tribal together. And he's not wrong.
And then Xander's like, yeah, man, totally, dude, bro. We totally played different games, man. And then Erica's like, no, I can totally see it. And he's like, look at us. Look at you. Look at us. Look at us. It was great. It was a great move by him. I thought Deshawn doing that was one of the few times that you really did get to see a reward panning out to get a new alliance formed, because that alliance, this season is more about voting blocks, right? Not hardcore alliances, but Zander, Erica, Heather, and Ricard are a voting block. They're voting together, they're working together, but they're not really an alliance trying to power through together. And Deshawn's like, hey, I'm trying to. Hey, whatever. I saw y'all voted together, I can also vote with you too if you like. Just letting that be known. I also got a vote. Remember that, and I can use it because Ricard has a vote. I can use it like Ricard uses his vote. Keep that in mind, everybody. And they're like, he does have a vote.
You made a mistake. We should have got rid of him a long time ago. So like,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
I thought it was a really fantastic move. I think it may have been undone with what happened later at Tribal. I think it might have undone a little bit of that and caused those people to maybe not want to work with it so much. But I thought that move at the time, it was perfect timing to put those three together.
I mean, I do think this would be an extremely entertaining tribal council, final tribal to have like these three. The only way that I think it could be better is if you subbed out Zander and you put in Ricard. Like, it would be great to see a final tribal of Ricard, Erica, and Deshawn. Like,
yeah.
I don't know where it would go. I mean, I still think Ricard's got the edge, but like, it would be really interesting. They have all three played different games. I feel like they're the three biggest contenders to win. So maybe we'll see.
I think you're right.
Maybe we'll see the old chicken and veggies alliance pull through. So
Chicken and veggies alliance. I like that.
So back at the beach, we've got Ricard, Heather, and Danny. And, you know, Danny, he's just kind of down, y'all. And so he's going to just he's just going to be here. Hey, Stan. And we're going to, I got distracted, okay? So
What up, Stan? Hey. Welcome to the podcast.
Sorry.
Welcome to the
Better
show.
late than never.
So just to catch you up to speed, Stan, Frank is frozen and he can't move, so he's just there. Kylie is going through the part where Danny and them lost the reward challenge and they were back at camp.
And go. Stan. No.
Wait, so
All
what
right,
happened?
so what?
Yeah, go for it. You were gonna say
Okay.
something.
So Danny's, acting a little solemn. Mother Heather is going to comfort him, and she's like, you know what, Danny, you just stay here. Me and Ricard, we'll go get some firewood, we'll go get some water, and you relax here. And Danny's like, okay. And he kind of does one of Deshawn's faces, so I feel like Deshawn's rubbed off on him a little bit. Did y'all catch the face that Danny makes at Heather when she's, mothering him?
Yeah, he seemed a little annoyed. But meh, he seemed a little annoyed, but meh, it was good.
Yeah.
I did not catch the face. I have to
Yeah,
rewatch it.
It was funny. Made me laugh out loud because it was very, very much a Deshawn move. And so Heather and Ricard leave. Danny's off into the woods because he's thinking, hey, Shan got voted out with an idol. Hopefully it got replanted, and your boy needs something, so I'm going to go look for this.
Me and Deshawn are in trouble.
Yep.
Capital T trouble.
We're in trouble. So do y'all think he was super close to finding the advantage, or did they, Franken-stitch this together and make it look like he just overlooked it?
Do you think it was an idol or an advantage?
I think probably an advantage.
Yeah, and I think that those advantages and idols, I think that most of the time they're going to be somewhere that almost everyone's been by multiple times.
Danny said in an interview that he was been at the same spot. He's looked at the same spot multiple times for that thing and couldn't find it.
So Bob asks, do you think anyone will find that idol or advantage will be moved to the new island? So we've gotten to see 2 moments missed of finding advantages. Zander on the sit-out bench, Danny presumably walking by it, maybe. But do they move it to the new island like IOI type situation?
Yeah,
where,
that's what I was thinking.
How
What
cool
I wanna
if Ricard
see-
gets it.
We're not talking about Ricard right now, Frank. Oh, I forgot about that part, Stan. It's the Ricard show with Frank. He's only talking about
new
Ricard.
drinking game. If Frank
What's
says
new?
Ricard, finish your drink.
You drink.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been watching this season with such a keen eye on the edit, and it's been very confusing, to be completely honest. It might be someone messaged me and that said that when Probe said drop the 4, keep the 1, and the first winner of Survivor was Richard, the gay man.
Get out of here. Drop the H. Get out of here. I've heard
And
this
then
too.
drop the H, and then but honestly,
Keep the Richard.
and then the Ricard. But
Yeah, but he
honestly,
said that on the boat as they're doing the marooning. That was not.
no. Of course, it's
I'm
not. It's
going
not.
to
But Ricard's playing such a good game.
We're not saying that. We're not saying that Ricard's playing a poor game, but the way Frank has just loved on this man is just too much. But before we get into that,
Because
what I want to see,
okay, we'll get there.
I want to see Jeff go to the new island, and Jeff walks out there and say, "I have this new advantage. We're gonna put it right here under the sand, and then like bury it." And then we see him do that, and they're gonna have to start all over. They're gonna have to come out here, rebuild shelter, redo that, and we're not giving them any food. Let's see if they find. And then like you see them come running in behind Jeff, and like, "Oh, I gotta go." I want to see that happen. That's what I want to see on the new island. I want to see him do that, and I want to see him then hide the advantage or whatever on the new island in the new spot, and we just see all of that happen. That's what I'm looking
I
for.
mean, it's kind of old at this point. Like when he breaks the fourth wall or whatever. But
I want it all season, Stan. I want it all season.
I mean, I'm okay with it. Like no one really like I'm more about like the gameplay and how this affects the game. Like honestly, it feels like more Island the Idol Final Five for me, as what everyone's kind of saying. Like, I mean, there's gonna be an advantage that the first thing you do is there's gonna be something in that island. You're not going to this new island, but there's absolutely nothing. So whatever Jeff Probst says, like if I was in the final five, my eyes would be peeled for something because for sure. Danny wasn't sure if the Shan idol was hidden, but you're coming to a new island. There's final five, like there's three more tribals to touch the final tribal. I'm going for that advantage.
Something's out there.
Yeah, probably
Something's out there.
But let me just say that, like, just like I said, I don't need love whenever I have been, 5 weeks in and I've only got 4 days to go. I can promise you, if Jeff moves me to a new beach with 3 nights left, I am not building shit. I'm sleeping on the beach. I don't care if it rains, because we're going to get wet anyways, and I'm not putting forth the effort. So, thank you, Jeffrey. But no,
I don't know. I know for sure, just the type of person I am. That's one of the things I love about Survivor is creating my own little habitat. Yes, the surviving part. So I would be making my own new shelter.
I would be somewhere in the middle. If half the tribe doesn't want to do it, I'm okay sleeping on the beach. If we're gonna try to make something, I'll help out any which way I can. At this point, it's the final five. You're not playing to make shelter or not make shelter. You're playing to win. You're gonna do if you're the only one sitting down, laying in the sand, bitching about not building shelter, and the 4 other people are. Well, guess what? That ostracizes you from the group inevitably.
I'm not going to do it if everybody else is building the shelter. I'm not going to be like,
imagine me, Stan, Frank working hard on the shelter. Kylie's like, fuck you guys. I'm not building.
No, but the thing is, if it's not us, because we all know she's gonna sit her butt down in the sand, not doing shit.
Stan, if anybody, we know that you're sitting down, you're gonna be telling me what to do and where I should put the logs.
That's not true.
That's
not true. I don't tell people like you. I tell people like Nate.
I don't know who Nate is, but poor Nate.
And Chapman. And the people they'll still have my vote at the end. So
there's a running joke at RealFoot about Dr. Stan being white collar and not doing any physical labor.
I'm not allowed to do
That's a running joke.
I'm allergic to physical labor.
We got completely off about Danny looking for the advantage. But Danny comes back and Ricard is like, look, I be knowing things. And Danny has an advantage or an idol because his whole mood has shifted.
Look at him. He looks too happy.
Nope. So, I'm really interested to know, is this something that Danny was really playing up? Okay, I got to sell the shit out of this. And why didn't he Rupert it and put a rock in his pocket? Okay.
I think it was Ricard playing it up more than anything.
Oh my gosh.
I really do. I think he plants paranoia into the game where it suits him, and I think that was an area that it suits him, and I think when he was asking Danny about it, I think Danny was playing into it. Yeah, for sure. Because
Look, I mean,
of course you would want him to think that.
I really think that if Ricard did that, like next level, hey, I'm going to create this paranoia, then we're going to see him get like a Tony edit of being a little bit chaotic and like, okay, so this is what I did. And I don't know if Danny has it or not, but it's best for everyone to think that he does. And we're going to, especially if he's our winner, we're going to get that in a confessional. So sorry, Frank. Like, I think Zander is great, but not Zander. Ricard is great, but I don't think so.
I just feel like
I think it's innate manipulation. I think
He
he
was
does
wrong.
that on
Oh
the
my
normal.
gosh.
I think he does it in his everyday life. I think he does it to people.
I think Frank needs to stop attributing things that Ricard did not do to Ricard's game.
No, I think he's a master manipulator, and I think he does
I think that's
control
a little-
a way a lot of people think.
So you think it's a little much? You think it's a little much? That's what I'm saying. That's what the problem is here.
So,
Anyway, back to what Danny did. I think that Danny, like, he didn't need to put a rock in his pocket though, because they already thought that he had something, right? And he was using that. They split votes just in case he did.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that they thought he had something because he went out there, and then I do think Ricard did a good job saying that he felt like his mood changed, and I think unlike Frank, I think Ricard actually felt that his mood had changed, but in reality, I think he was just the regular same thing. But perception is reality, right? So if he already perceived that he had an idol that he went and found, he's just going to believe that he did.
Yeah,
Makes his life a lot
what you
easier.
want to think, like regardless if his mood's changed, whatever you're thinking, you're gonna believe, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Correct.
And I think Ricard just has a paranoid personality to begin with, that whether or not he actually means it for the better. And really, so honestly,
I think he wanted Danny out, and that's if you want Danny out, that is what you say. He's smart enough to know exactly what to do and how to. If he was working with Danny, he wouldn't have been pointing it out to everyone. And
nah, man, he wanted Deshawn out.
It's like, no, I don't think so.
I think everyone wants Deshawn out except for Erica, because Erica said that in the confessional that it makes sense for everyone to get Deshawn out, but I think I need Deshawn for my game. And then so that's why I think I need Danny out. Whereas
Zander wanted to keep Danny because he could beat Ricard, and I guarantee you Ricard wanted Danny gone because he could beat Ricard in certain challenges.
Then why was Erica the one trying to sell?
Correct.
After the immunity challenge, you see the scene where Erica is having to sell Ricard on keeping Deshawn.
You're right. There is a scene.
So I'm telling you,
Ricard.
Yes, she had the same conversation with Ricard. You stop giving Ricard props for things he didn't do.
I think you 100% look at that. I think Ricard has talked to everyone about voting out everyone. Erica has probably talked to everyone about voting out everyone.
Why is it only
Those are
Ricard's
how they're
credit,
piecing
not
together the
everyone
edit.
else?
I don't
Why is it
I
not
don't read
anyone
into
else
the edit
credit,
that much.
man? I hope Erica beats Ricard. I hope Erica sits in the final three and she's like, I want a woman to win. I want a person of color to win. And these are my moves. And she beats
And I'm both. I am both.
If Ricard is in the end and doesn't win, I will quit
I
watching.
hope like Deshawn beats Ricard.
No, you're not. We're not there yet, though. We're not there yet. Kylie, keep it going.
I'm just sitting here because I don't even know what to do with this man right here. Okay, Ricard
might lose in fire to make a Zander, Erica, Heather final three.
I'd be cool.
Well, we'll get to scenarios, to quote the great Jose, in a little while. So, Ricard clocks this one wrong, and Danny's not going to have this idol, but this is obviously going to play a big part into what is going to happen in the Tribal Council. But anyways, getting into this immunity challenge, going into it, who do you think's got the best odds of winning this? Because I'm like, like Zander, I feel like you got a pretty good chance here.
So when I love that this season has a mix of physical and puzzles for like all of the challenges, right? And when I saw the puzzle part, I was like, okay, I think this is really a Ricard Deshawn situation. But I said I thought, and it worked out just how I thought it would. I was like, I think Xander and Danny have a chance to get there first, but I think that who's going to finish the puzzle first. I was hoping Deshawn was going to be the one to pull it out. I thought that this was his chance. He was close.
Yeah. It was a really good challenge,
Absolutely.
and I agree, Kevin. Like, I like that everything has been a mix, and so it's not just, hey, you got to be super physical, or hey,
I
you
thought
gotta
Danny
be...
would do a lot better over the balance beams, though. That was shocking.
Yeah, I was a little surprised.
He was dizzy.
Danny said,
I think he was just.
So
Danny said when it was a puzzle, he knew he wasn't gonna win. He bumped his head a little too many times. He said it in an interview.
I think he, when he spun around or whatever to begin the thing, I think he went too fast and was just too dizzy, which is why I think he was fine on the balance beam without being dizzy, but that's why he kept falling.
Yeah. I mean, looking like a newborn giraffe.
Yeah, yep. Just stumbling
It's so
around.
funny. It's so funny to like backseat drive and like comment on all these people. Like if we were there and we spun around so many times, we would look crazy on national TV too.
Oh, Stan, I wouldn't be there, man.
I would look fantastic.
Survivor's not a game I
on
want to play.
national television.
I'd look great.
Any challenge, every challenge. I'd
See,
look
that's
I
a
would
Frank
absolutely
thing.
dominate.
Stan, I have no interest in playing Survivor, so I will not be there.
I'm going to be right there along with Kevin. So,
We all have strengths and weaknesses.
but they're the ones that are out there, and we're the ones that get to comment on it. So,
That's true.
that's just how the cookie crumbles. So, hey. All right, so Ricard pulls this one out, and Jeff is like, wow. Jeff is like Frank Jr. out here. Wow, Ricard. You are so amazing. How did you get this puzzle so fast? Because it took you about 3 seconds. And Ricard is like, I was thinking of 4-letter words. I'm like, I would have been thinking of some 4-letter words too. Damn, shit, hell. What 4-letter Survivor words would y'all have been thinking of? Because outside of vote, I'm probably not thinking of any of them.
I
As
had
soon
vote.
as
I had idle. Lose. What about you, Frank? What you got?
When I see, so like I said, I'm pretty confident in a lot of challenges, but as soon as I see words, I'm like, I count myself out because super dyslexic. So doing that would have been, my brain would have been scrambling. I would have just been putting them in different stacks, hoping that it all worked out eventually. And I found like, actually what I would do is I'd be trying to look at the grain in the wood past the paint job to see if it was cut from one block to see if I could match the wood grain. That's how my brain would try to handle it.
strategy, if you were Ricard, which what Ricard did was he actually was going back and forth. Did you guys notice
Ricard's not dyslexic though.
No, I know, but like, so what he did was he literally was looking at, so if you have one, because if you get the first 3 letters, first 3 words right, you know you have the pattern. And so if E and T are here, when you go around and you're not, the E and T's there, but the V and O are there, you know the V and O are going to be on the left side. So it makes the puzzle so much easier because it's flipped back and forth to get, it's the same way. It reads the same back and forth. So use that as an advantage to win the puzzle.
Yeah.
Ricard did that in one.
I mean,
That's the hack. That's the hack.
that's
for that
that's a
puzzle.
good point, Stan. And I didn't think about it like that, but I was thinking of it. He had that U upside down. I was like, he's gonna have this bin moment, right?
So if that was if
I
that
was
was the immunity, if I was on the show and that was the immunity I won, I would be, and Jeff was like, Stan, how did you do that so fast? I'm like, Jeff, when I was watching on TV, the cameras would be pointed out like this to read the things, but you're looking at the thing from the other side, reading the same thing. So I realized that if you run around and see it, the words are going to be arranged so the blocks are going to fit one way correctly. That's how you watch from TV and looking at it from 2 different
Yeah, but
ways.
I mean, I was more concerned with him flipping the U in the end.
Oh, that was
because
like,
we saw that obviously with Ben. Like, that was the most heartbreaking thing ever.
Mhm.
Like, I don't care what anybody says. I like Ben, and I was rooting for him hardcore. And like, my heart was pounding
obviously it'd be
in that
really
immunity
for Ben.
challenge when he had that letter upside down. Like, my heart broke for him. And I was like, this is going to be the same moment for Ricard. Like, he's going to have this phrase right, and he's going to have one letter upside down. But he manages to pull it out. Good job, Ricard.
Deshawn was so close, though.
Plan B. Yep.
He was right there. He was right there.
But
Ricard's so amazing, and we love him so much. And Ricard can't do no wrong.
You can't do anything wrong. Not in front of the fans.
So, Ricard's safe. Plan B. What are we gonna do?
Right.
So let's talk about.
So they go into the challenge knowing that they just had to beat Ricard.
Yeah.
And they didn't really work out like a secondary situation.
Yeah.
But the plan B was always Deshawn or Danny, right? That was always plan B, was one of those two. We go back and work with, because that's the point of Erica, Heather, and Zander not voting out Ricard, that they have that option, right? And so plan B becomes one of those two, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't get to see Danny doing a lot of individual work like what we get to see Deshawn. That probably should have been the tip off that, hey, Deshawn's probably going to stay. Danny's the one that, just doesn't quite have all of the connections, even though I think he's so well liked. It obviously goes beyond that into strategy. And we get all of the conversations that Deshawn is having and, him pitching why he's the better one without dragging Danny through the mud. Of like, hey, you see the advantage of keeping me. This. And we don't get that from Danny.
I think both of them were trying to play this tribal council a little differently. Danny's like, all right, Deshawn, dig your own grave, brother.
We're not there yet. We're not at the tribal yet, because I got a lot of words about tribal today.
I know. But I think Deshawn, on the flip side, he knows, and he said it in his confessional, and I think if Deshawn ends up winning a season, it's because of this move that he pulled with Erica, was, he's like, keep me. Why keep me? And you don't want to sit next to Heather or something like that, where we clearly know that Erica will beat Heather up and down, in and out, any day of the week. But I think Deshawn's planted that seed, and I haven't really been high on Deshawn the whole season. I have had a lot of other favorites, but I think Deshawn is playing a really, really strong social game. I mean, social game is paramount in the game of Survivor. At the end of the day, it's who you trust and who trusts you back. Like, if Erica has a good working relationship with Deshawn, and it's between Deshawn and Danny, and Erica, and I think Danny mentioned in some interview, he's really not that close with Erica and Heather. And they went into it early on in Louisville because Danny was on Sydney's side. So, it's who you trust at the end of the day. And it's funny how when Erica mentioned at the end, we'll get to it, but it's so obvious that Deshawn's social game was the reason he stayed. Now, your social game can be a big threat too if people are threatened that your social game will get you further. But now the onus is on the player to how to dampen, have their social game strong enough, but still dampen the threat level, not become that salient threat that everyone wants to vote out. And basically, that's what Deshawn did perfectly to a T, to avoid he's facing the Jeff Reaper in the eye, and because of his social game, it made it seem not that way. He knew if Danny had an idol, he's gone. But
right, and that's why when they were at the well, Deshawn was able to get Erica talking to her about her gameplay and say, "Hey, man, don't you and Heather, you played the same exact game, did the same things, you guys, right?" And she's like, yeah, we did this. We did all the same stuff. He's like, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Crazy.
You even went to the bathroom together all the time.
We did go to the bathroom together all the time.
That little bit, not just to recognize, hey, me and Heather have played very similar games, but he gets her to verbally say it. And that's where he's like, gotcha. But
once she says it,
confessional afterwards, and he's like, sowing these seeds of doubt, hopefully I'm going to be able to reap this
absolutely
later. And once she says it, though, she goes to work for him too, right? Because not only has he convinced her. He like Jedi mind tricked her into saying it out loud. She then says, "I need to keep Deshawn here. He has my deepest, darkest secret." And then she goes to work talking to Zander, talking to Ricard, talking to them about keeping him over getting rid of or over keeping Danny.
And I think that's how Deshawn's going to win this game if he makes it to the final tribal council, because there's many different ways to play Survivor. It's just not the big, bold, flashy, like that. Those kind of blind sides that
Taking shots at Shan?
Huh?
Taking shots at Shan right there, Stan?
Yeah,
No.
we're gonna.
Would you hum it?
We're gonna remove you.
Mind you, Kevin, why didn't Shan not win? Why did Shan not win?
Because she.
Ricard.
Why did?
It's not about Ricard.
What's Shan's fatal flaw? And I know we didn't speak on. He quitted because it's not about Ricard. What's Shan's fatal flaw in this game? Answer.
That she
Lack of food. Remember,
trusts,
is what you said.
I feel like she ain't eating. She ain't eating. That's what her biggest. What do you feel like her biggest flaw is?
She needed a Snickers.
Biggest flaw is her moves were so big that it was in your face like that. So the moment that they had the time to take her out, boom. There's people like Deshawn. There's people like Erica, and you could even argue Ricard. Ricard, all of pre-merge and even through the merge, he's hiding behind Shan and letting Shan get all the blood. So that Liana even hid behind Shan.
But
so
they didn't know what Shan did pre-merge. Like, the only person they did was Ricard.
Right, but then anyway, that's besides the point. But it's so obvious to the Yasa that Shan and Liana were immediately tight. Right? It's very obvious that Shan's in control because it's Shan's way or the highway. Right? Shan's biggest mistake was letting people know that she was making the moves. Whereas Ricard, Deshawn, Erica, to a certain extent, they don't seem like they're the ones making the moves. So Erica has zero target on her back at this very moment in time because she is not seen as that Shan game. And there has something to be said about that on Survivor, because if you explain it and if you own those moves on the way to the end and you make that jury respect your game by playing more of not so much under the radar, because Deshawn is not playing an under the radar game. Neither is, Ricard really, but it's under the radar enough that might just get them through the hump. And it's all you need is that final 3 spot and you're there to explain yourself. Right?
That's true. That's true. And I think as you get deeper in like the game, things just become more apparent, right? And so like you were saying that like Shan and the Shantham, because that's what brought it up. You were humming the Shantham. Shan and the Shantham, she was playing hard, yes, but the things become more apparent where people stand as the game goes just deeper into it. Shan was big, don't get me wrong, but Ricard has been equally as big the whole time, in my opinion.
He's not salient.
But that's the thing, though. You were saying that Liana. Yeah, I mean, people know they need to take him out. He's won immunities. Let's be real. He's only here by the grace of the immunity challenges, right? He would already be gone. He would already be gone if it wasn't for him winning.
As big of a target as he is because of
he's as big as a targeted Frank in Survivor games. That's why he likes it.
Yeah, I love seeing people that are big targets. I love seeing it. I love seeing people defy the odds. I love seeing people play big, bold games, and you either burn out. It's okay if you burn up in the sun.
I play a lot more like Deshawn. Like put my arms and tentacles in everyone's little cookie jars, but I got you guys, and let's go to the end together. Like, I don't want those big, bold, flashy moves that'll paint a target to my back. In fact, my goals when I play these games is make my target so small and like hide behind my target, or make that false impression. So I blow up my target so big that people forget I'm there. Like, because the
fans want the drama, though. That's why I'm ready to bring it. Because every time I play, I'm doing it for the
drama
fans.
ain't bringing you the dub.
Yeah, just like Frank, if you every time you're playing for the fans. Erica said herself that she's not playing for anyone but herself. She's playing to win. I'm sorry that Frank, that you're only a character and you're not here to be a good game player. That's what you're saying. That's what I'm hearing from you.
No, I can do both. I've done both.
I play for the dub every single
I've
time.
got 2 fan favorite awards, so I mean that to me that speaks volumes.
Okay, Rupert.
Do you know who else got fan favorite awards?
Rupert.
Like, Rupert also has fan favorite awards. Congrats.
Congrats.
All right, so we're going to get away from personal shots at each other. Is there anything that can happen on the beach pre-tribal council that we need to?
Yeah, man. Erica, I got to give props to Erica for getting them on board with keeping Deshawn, because Zander and Ricard were very much against that. They thought that Zander thought that Danny, well, they thought the same thing. Zander thought that Danny had a better chance of beating Ricard in a challenge, in an immunity challenge, and so did Ricard. Ricard thought that Deshawn had a better chance of doing it, which is why he wanted him gone. So she was able to convince both Zander that Deshawn can beat Ricard, so we need to keep him, and convince Ricard that Danny's the one that can beat him, so we need to keep Deshawn.
Yeah, I think it's Erica's narrative was followed this episode, and good for her. And then at the end, when she turns around, she's like, told Deshawn like something about friend, like, I got you, friend. I still got you, friend.
We're not there, Stan. We're not there yet, Stan. We're taking it beat by beat, baby.
We're gonna cut it anyway, so who cares?
We're
not there yet. We're
Stan.
not in the tribal yet, Stan. Come on.
At least they don't talk about Ricard. At least they're talking about.
Thank God. Thank God.
Hey, looks we need to start picking on someone else, not Frank.
Yeah, we got pre-singing over here.
Yes, I mean I talk about Ricard as much as you mentioned being a doctor.
No, I don't.
I haven't heard him talk about a doctor. I haven't heard him mention being a doctor yet, but I've heard you talk about Ricard a million times.
I'll put a highlight reel together.
All
Well,
right,
Kylie,
so,
let's get to the tribal, I guess.
Tonight we're getting, for the fans, airing of the grievances. All right. Let's talk
Festivus
about
came early.
So, Stan, as you said, Danny and Deshawn play this very, very differently. And Danny stays completely true to himself. He's so cool, calm, collected, like going to not do something outside of his character, which I really, really like. And he's just like, I've made the social connections and, done the things that I can do, and it's kind of out of my hands now.
Which it
And Deshawn's
really
like,
was. I think it really was. I think if the only thing that I don't know what he could have done differently. I think it was in the hands of everyone else. I think Deshawn had the cards in this because Deshawn had the social connection. I mean, post game, I think Danny was a little so the Go Cowboys moment at the end was that
we're not there yet, Stan. Let's not jump to the end.
Whatever. Like, he had a relationship with Zander. Danny had a relationship with Zander. Danny had a relationship with Deshawn. But that's basically it. Like, whereas Deshawn had a relationship with everyone else. So I think it was Danny was like, all right, if Deshawn keeps on talking and keeps on digging himself a hole, which he did multiple times, maybe he's the bigger threat to take out, and I'll skate by. Because at the end of the day, it's survival mode.
Before we get there, though, I speaking of the Cowboys moment, I loved the fact that Danny said on the beach, "Look, man,
we're not there yet."
No. Earlier, when he's on the beach and he's like, "Look, man, one of us is not going to be here tomorrow, so let you know I played for the Cowboys for 5 seasons," and I like how Deshawn was like, "That's dope." Like he just had like a, I don't know who you are, but that is so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
that you're a pro athlete.
I mean, I would be if I was if I don't know Danny McRae before this season, right? I didn't know he was like the
Uh-huh.
safety for the Dallas Cowboys for 4 seasons and went to the Bears. But like if I was working so closely with someone on the beach for like 20 days and we're
Yep.
near them, it's like so when we were in Real Foot 3, Pete Morgan, we were gonna get voted out right after each other, and he told me, he's like, I'm a politician. I'm local here in Fulton. And I was like, you're a politician? What the hell? He's like, I didn't tell anyone. I told everyone I was a teacher. And I'm like, oh shit, you're a politician. But we knew it was me or him. So like that was kind of a cool moment. It really reminded me of that because I had that same moment where I was like, oh shit. And then we actually got voted out one after each other, got on his truck, and he knew everyone in town. And I'm like, damn, I did not know this person for 6 days working with him on in the woods in Tennessee, like in Kentucky. I had no idea. But then like that moment kind of made me reminisce that because like that's kind of cool, whether you're a Cowboys fan
No,
or not. It's totally
trust
cool.
me, I get it.
But I thought that Deshawn was going to use that against Danny, but I guess he had a little bit more integrity than that. And I think Deshawn knew that Danny was going home anyway. And if anything,
No. I think Deshawn and Danny are like legit boys, like
Yeah.
legitimately boys.
Yeah.
And like it's not if like he found that out from like Zander, he rats him out, right?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't care about Zander. But
Correct.
like he even says that Danny's like his brother out there, right? So like
Right.
that dude's like family to him.
Like
so he's
big
like,
boy,
and
big
like
bro,
those.
little bro.
Yeah. So those dudes are gonna be thick. They're gonna be like Kelly Wentworth and Lauren from
Right. Yeah.
Edge of Extinction, right?
Stan,
They're gonna,
it's like
Yeah.
when Russell Hands told you not to take me to the final tribal council and you did it anyways. They're just
Russell-
that
What?
tight.
Russell
That's not
called
nothing
me-
like this.
No, Russell.
That
It's
tight.
nothing like this.
After the fact,
Frank,
Russell
that
had
has-
nothing to do.
Me,
with
I
that
think
decision.
me and
That
Stan are
was-
as tight
that
as
was my personal
Danny and
decision.
Deshawn,
Yeah.
for sure.
I
For
100%,
sure,
like,
me and him are as
I
tight.
think, well, I play with a lot of people, and I when I play with people that I trust, like I would never go against them, and even if that compromised me to win, it's fine. But sometimes you learn your lesson. If you give me another chance to put Frank in the Final Four, and I have the power, I don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe I want.
But in
Frank
this
to get
situation-
into the jury for me to win.
In this situation, though, they were super tight, so I didn't think that there was going to be a chance that he was going to like dime out. But I can see where you're coming from, though, like right. But like that's his boy, though. That's his.
Yeah,
and
no,
I just like
I
how
mean-
like how he downplayed it. I like how Deshawn downplayed
Yeah.
it and was like,
Right.
"That's dope, man." And
Right.
like,
No,
cool.
absolutely. I was in that position too because when I think it was final 9 of season 3 of Real Foot, it was me and Pete. He told me that morning I'm a politician here in Kentucky, and it was between me and him because the gig was up.
Just so you guys.
the whole time. I could have just been like, by the way, guys, he's a politician. You don't want to sit next to him in the final tribal council. He's gonna beat your ass. But everyone knew I was a medical student at that time, kind of like Deshawn. Actually, I wasn't a doctor yet, but I was just like, I think he's gonna go home anyway because people hate him. So let me just let him go. I didn't blow up a spot, kind of like how Deshawn did with Danny. So I really
So yeah. So they get to the tribal though. So you feel like that Deshawn felt like Danny was going home. I felt
Yeah.
like Deshawn wanted to make sure that he went home over Danny.
You think he was like sacrificing it?
No way.
Yeah.
No way. I think the tribal, I think Erica should have already told Deshawn, hey, Deshawn, you're not going home. Flush Danny's idol. And if it's Danny's idol, it's you. Just vote for Danny.
I think it was a thing of Danny and Deshawn were completely on the outside. They knew that it
that
was
could
coming
be
down
too.
to the two of them.
That could be
Hey,
too.
we've got mutual respect. You can write my name down. I'm going to write your name down.
But
Whatever.
Callie, someone
But
always winks at you at tribal. that it's
Deshawn was
not
like,
you.
"Hey, you know what? I'm probably going here. Like, I can look at this.
Deshaun-
game. I can see that I've played a better game. So I'm gonna blow up the spot.
It makes more sense for it to be me. They've already told me that it would have been me had I not gotten safety like yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It's going to be me. Everyone likes Danny. How can you not like Danny? This is my boy. So let me just blow up the spot a little bit to help give my boy some room. Right? I know that I'm going home, so let me clear a little space for him by blowing Erica up at Tribal, which is exactly what he did right here.
Yeah. I thought that he was.
I think he
thought
thought
they
he was
were-
going home for sure.
I thought he was.
Yeah,
I don't think he
they
was
dropped
trying.
two.
I don't think he was actively trying to do it to save Danny. I think he thought he was going home and was like, "I'm gonna help my boy out along
Yeah.
the way."
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to tell.
That's what I got from it.
But I
And
think the two
so,
still. I think two different gameplays: crash and burn, and let the other one crash and burn. Hope it's the crash and burn person. Like that's the two. Those are the two plays. Or you work behind the scenes completely, which I think that's what Deshawn did anyway. But you didn't throw Danny under the bus. Like how I would do it. Oh, back in the day, it would be like, oh, it's either one of us, blah blah blah. Now I'd be like, keep me. I'm better for your game, and that's what Deshawn did.
So I just
so
looked up to see if I could get a Danny McRae football card, and one sold just a few days ago, I think, on for $1.99. It was his LSU card. I got that for
I don't think
$1.99 on eBay.
Danny McRae is the most.
anyways, y'all are some haters. Okay. So, I don't think that Erica could have played this any more badly when Deshawn drops his little bin bomb and is like, Heather, Erica wanted to vote you out because y'all played the same game. And I like that he throws in that little bit of that jab too. Obviously, he says it a lot differently than how I just did, but he does say, like, hey, Erica talked about voting you out because y'all played such similar games. Because if there's the scenario that both of them make it through, Deshawn has already planted that seed with the jury. And I think it was a very intentional statement of, hey, these two, they're the same. Just so you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's good strategy. And
He's wanting to sit next to the two of them in the final three
I would want to
Yeah.
sit next to two of
so
them.
badly. That's
yeah,
what
he
he's.
wants
So
to sit
bad.
next to them. Tweedledee, Tweedledum, they're the same. So,
Oh my god, I would love to sit next to them.
anyways, they go to vote, tie vote, revote. All the votes go on to Danny. Danny does drop the best line we've ever seen in Survivor history. Go Cowboys.
Hold on, calm down. Hold on before
If you know, you
before
know.
you get there. Before you get there.
Best.
When they vote and then they revote, they vote the first time, and then this was split vote. Then they revote. So it would seem like a surprise to both Danny and Deshawn was that all the votes went on Danny. I think that happened because they were trying to flush
The potential
Danny
idol.
with his idol
Yes.
if he had one.
Yes.
And I think that's why they did it. I don't know how you guys feel about
Yes.
that.
I felt that same way. I think if if Danny had the idol and he didn't play it, he'd be going home because it's guaranteed that there's only like if Danny had a 50% chance that he had idol, Deshawn had 0% chance. So just by a
Right.
numbers game, like I would go take Danny out. And I think that's just how it's supposed to work. I think they made the right move because they have like hours and hours, fine, not days anymore because it's 26 days to think about it. And honestly, that has to go to their brains to think about if Danny doesn't play his idol, if he has it, let's vote him out. And if he doesn't have the idol, vote him out anyway because he might be keeping it for the next round. It's an absolute.
And the next round, if earlier in the night someone asked, are we sure that it goes to the final five? We are not sure, but we just assume that it is. So if you assume that it's final five, and we're about to be at 5, might as well get rid of this dude to make sure he can't use it in this last in his last chance. You know?
Yeah,
I think.
And we have not heard. I mean, I just feel like they've always been at final 6. Like that we get the last time you can use an idol at the first tribal council of the finale, which is typically final 6, not final 5. And so it's like, okay, we don't know the rules anymore. And I don't like that as viewers that we don't exactly know the rules. And so
if as viewers couldn't, I'm sure somebody has paused it to read the document that they had. It had to have said it on there,
probably.
right?
Yeah. But I'm not sure. I'm going to assume that Zander can still play his idol because there's no way that, that moment passed and they don't recognize it at all. So presumably Zander guaranteed final 4. He's probably going to at least get a chance to make fire. So how much are these people going to
Maybe
do?
he doesn't. He might not get a chance to make fire. They said 2 more tribals, 2 more challenges, immunity challenges. Who knows when this thing happens? I don't know what's going on now, Kylie.
I don't think he said. I mean, you technically have a tribal council, but I think he said 2 immunity challenges. So
1 fire making.
and 1 fire making. So that is
No.
technically 1 person will be immune, and then they get to save 1 person, and the other 2 get to make fire.
You're just making it up as you go,
no,
aren't you,
I'm
Kylie
not.
Kelly? You have no idea. That's just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Nope.
Kevin's right. They said 2, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I hear that as the final 2. I also hear that at 3, they're gonna figure out that those 2 are gonna make fire. Whoever wins the fire is going to the final 2, along with whoever got there, however way they did. Which means Xander may not get a chance to make fire.
In your scenario, Zander may not get a chance to make fire.
I think Zander
In
gets
my
4.
scenario, Zander does. So
I think Xander's
if
the
my
lack of
scenario is
character
right,
edit.
I'm almost always right. I'm going to pull a Ricard here and say that, I'm probably right. And if
You're always right.
Xander only has to make it through this next tribal council, are these people so dumb for letting him get through?
No, he's a goat.
I don't think he has a good chance to win.
No,
Who? Xander?
Xander.
Yeah, I don't
Those are
think.
crazy.
I don't think most.
Crazy.
I don't think most. Well, because look, I don't think most people on the jury like
Who are
fear
his
him
lock-
nor
Who are Xander's
are concerned about
lock-
him winning.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously something about Xander that made these people be like, yeah, we're just going to let this kid skate. He's got a
Yeah,
title.
yeah.
He's got an extra vote. He's won some immunity challenges.
I
Whatever.
think it's the way he talks. Because Xander's like, well, I have an idol here in my pocket that's public knowledge. And I think people are underestimating how Xander is going to be to state his case at the final tribal council. I think everyone in the game thinks that they can beat Xander. Can Ricard think he can beat Xander? Absolutely. Does Deshawn think he can beat Xander? Absolutely. Does Erica think that she can potentially beat Xander? Potentially. I think Xander doesn't have any locked votes in the jury. Who does Xander really have? Xander has maybe Evie.
No, I don't think. No, I don't. No. I don't think he has Evie because he did not use the idol to save her.
He doesn't
Yeah.
even.
So I don't think
he has Evie. Whereas someone like Deshawn has Shan, Liana, Danny locked. Whereas someone like Ricard has Shan pretty sure locked. Erica has who? I don't think Erica has.
I think Xander only beats Heather.
Yeah,
I don't think Eric can outtalk Xander in a final
You don't
tribal. I
think
think
so?
the only people that can give a better final speech than Xander are Deshawn and Ricard. And
I
Ricard
think
can do it
Erica
because
pulls
he's
that-
got so much more on the resume.
I'm on board the Erica train so hard, and I love Xander to death.
So I was
I
trying
love.
to
She's
research
bored.
what Jeff
She's
said.
bored, so she's just looking at some other stuff instead of listening to the boys talk. But
I'm
Kylie,
trying
do
to
you
figure out what
think-
Jeff said.
Who does Xander beat?
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of game left to be played, and so
Well, currently, right now, at this moment, who does Xander beat?
he definitely beats Heather, possibly beats Erica.
That's it.
I think Erica has a strong case. The thing is, why are they putting that a woman hasn't won? In Erica's, a woman hasn't won in so long, and it should be me. They put that there. I don't know why, but they put that there.
Dragon
Well, they
Monkey's
put-
on my team.
Because Stan,
There you go, Dragon Monkey.
They
That's
put
why
it there
you're my
every time.
favorite.
They every season they talk about how women haven't
No,
won.
they don't. Not
mean,
not in that
Angelina-
video.
Angelina had a whole montage about it in David versus
okay.
Goliath.
Is Angelina gonna win? Is there a chance Angelina's gonna
She
win?
that's the point though, right? She had a whole montage about it in David versus Goliath, and she didn't win. It's a thing that they
all
like.
knew
that's brought
Angelina
up.
wasn't gonna win after she asked for Natalie's jacket.
No, the point is though that they put that in there though, right? They put it in that at that time too.
Correct.
I do want to speak to Dragon Monkeys directly.
Don't
I wanna
listen
speak
to
to
him,
Dragon
Dragon
Monkey
Monkey. We love
directly.
you. We love you.
So let me tell you why Deshawn can beat Xander without a question. First off, Deshawn has most of his original tribe on the jury to begin with. Xander, in terms of the people he has to vote for him, in terms of his original tribe, Liana's not voting for him to win. Neither is Evie. So that is 2 less votes that he has, because you need votes in the end. They have kept him in the game. They haven't even tried to flush his idol, so that means that they're not concerned about it. And they're not concerned about him having an idol, which means that he's a no threat. Deshawn had to do the do or die challenge. He has been out there. He is someone that they feel can win challenges, but is social enough to keep these people working with him. These are the reasons why Deshawn can beat Xander, full stop.
Yep, completely agree.
Dragon
I have
Monkey.
myself on mute because I'm going
We'll
to
have to
give
agree
Westbrook's
to disagree
exact
with them.
words to play. So continue the discussion without me.
You still haven't found it? Are you watching the video right, like the episode right now? That's hilarious.
I mean, yeah.
You just go to the-
I think Xander's played an excellent game. I think he's going to get asked back in a couple of seasons. I think the fandom absolutely loves Zander. Reddit loves Zander. He's like,
Okay.
But the thing is, I think Zander doesn't have, I don't know what, like, Xander's just outshined by a lot of other people in the season, and his moves aren't dedicated Zander moves. Maybe it's the youth, kind of like how Liana's youth completely juxtaposed to Shan's wisdom. They're like 33 years apart.
He's playing way ahead of his time. He's way more
absolutely.
composed, way more
Correct.
strategic, way
Correct.
smoother. Like,
absolutely, but is that playing way? And I don't discount the fact that Zander is playing an excellent game. I mean, for a 20-year-old to play so well beyond, he's fighting an invisible opponent, which is himself. Like, he doesn't know who his targets are. Xander doesn't have a target. It's just like, let's make it to the next round, hopefully with my idol. But like, I don't think anyone's fully threatened by Xander.
I don't think he's just floating through the game like that.
I would float through the game.
I think he's very aware of the social structure and how it's all, who's tied to who. He's very well informed.
So
and
is
I
Zander
think
gonna beat
he's
Ricard?
smart enough to keep someone like Ricard. He's 100% right. If he would have went Ricard that round, they would have went after him the next round. It's a fact. He's very on top of things. I think you guys are underestimating him a little bit.
No, I think I'm not underestimating Zander. I just think that, like, his game is not salient. And when you have competitors, if you have competitors in the game still it's not how good your game is, Frank. It's how good your game is relative to the other 2 people that sat next to you in the final 3. Like, I lost to you not because I played a shitty game. I played a real good game. But the thing is, the jury respected your game as being the bolder move game where I was more under the undertow, and that's how the jury respects it. If I would have won a game against like in a different game, playing the same exact game, because I can speak in the final, but against other people that have played equally, if not better, in the jury's eyes, then you can win. So anyone can win. Zander can win in Redemption Island if he was Rob Mariano, and put Zander instead of, he would have won with the moves he'd make. Right? In a weaker season, he'd win for sure. But it's just there's so few players left that have played like Ricard and Deshawn. If you take out Eric,
but what has Deshawn? Deshawn has not made any game moves.
What are you talking about, bro?
Crazy? He took out Shan. He
did not take out Shan.
What do you mean?
He was working with Shan.
He's not doing anything. He's not doing
move.
No, Ricard. If Deshawn and Danny stuck with Shan, Ricard wouldn't have not made the move. Correct. It's Ricard.
Getting rid of Shan was not a good move for Deshawn anyways. Even if it was his move, it wasn't a good move.
Agreed.
Right,
But it was a move.
It's a move.
But it's not a good move.
Who cares?
Like,
it's a
it
move.
weakened his game. Like,
it's a good move. He's still here. Shan's not.
I like Deshawn. I think Deshawn's a good player, but I do not think he's played
Shan
enough game this season. I haven't seen enough of the game this season.
He's playing such a strong social game that he got all the votes to get cast on Danny. right? Erica trusted him, whether he didn't even think of Erica as someone. Erica puts him at number 1 or number 2 on her list, right? Deshawn's played such a strong social game. He's connected with every single person. Not a single person in that game wants Deshawn gone number 1 on their hit list. It's Ricard, then I guess at this time Danny, and then Deshawn in Heather's hit list, and Erica's hit list, and Zander's hit list, and enough people. If you're third on the hit list, guess what? If Ricard wins immunity, doesn't win immunity, Ricard's gone. But if Ricard somehow wins immunity, Danny's still gone. So he's effectively placing himself in a place where he's immune socially, not with challenges. That's credit to his own game.
Back over there, a little while back, Bob posted the words from Jeff. Kylie.
Well, I'm going to play the video. So we're going to listen to it from Jeff Trump's mouth, and we're going to make a decision on what's going to happen. So just wait. All right. Loading. This is the internet is. Okay, that lad. Y'all just wait. Just wait on it.
These 3 have 2 immunity challenges, 2 tribal councils, 1 fire-making tiebreaker, and 1 winner. You wanted the adventure of a lifetime? You're getting it.
All right. So basically, that doesn't clear up anything because it depends on how you interpret it.
That's exactly what Kevin and I said. What Jeff just said. 2-2-1.
Okay, but the tribal council, where they make, you have 2 immunity challenges. Yes, absolutely. The final 5 and the final 4. And then a fire making at that second tribal council. It's not 3 tribal councils. Y'all realize that?
Is the second tribal council the final tribal council, though?
No, then final tribal council. So you have the final 5 immunity challenge. Let's say Frank's boy Ricard wins, and they vote out Zander or Deshawn, okay? And so then you have Ricard, Zander, and the 2 girls. Final 4. We have a second immunity challenge.
Yes.
Let's say Frank's boy Ricard wins.
Yes!
So then Ricard gets to make the decision, hey, I'm taking Heather. And Erica and Zander have to make fire.
Okay. That math works.
Two
That math
tribal
works. I see it.
So it's a final 3? Boo.
It's a final 3.
Boo.
I can see that.
I mean,
I can see
potentially,
that.
yay. Potentially, yay. That's actually probably better for me. I like that.
For me, bitch, you are not Ricard.
I'm living
He
through
thinks
it.
he is.
All right. So
He thinks he is.
basically,
I wish I was Ricard.
This is
I
why
would love
you
to be
never-
there at
This is why you
final
should never
6
argue
with
with a
people
woman
saying I'm
because
the biggest threat in the game.
I
That would be
basically
enough.
have tuned y'all out for the last 15 minutes just trying to find what Jeff said so that we could talk about that.
I'm glad that we could carry the show for you, Kylie.
Yeah, it has been about 15 minutes. I looked at the time. I was like, we should probably be wrapping up about now, and I wonder how long it's going to take her to find that.
I'm just trying, y'all. Like, this is like you should argue with a woman because she'll go to the ends of the earth to prove you
One
wrong.
thing I do want to mention though is that For the Fans had a preseason
Let's not talk about that.
podcast.
I don't
And
know.
in the preseason podcast, we did a fantasy draft, Stan. And I wasn't a part of For the Fans. I got brought on as a special guest. And at that time, we did a draft. And we all took people. Kylie.
Oh, dirty play, Kylie.
Oh, look
Kevin,
at that.
we're
You
going to
sent
get
me
you those
backstage.
permissions real soon, so you'll have the power to do that.
Kylie had taken Danny as as one of her 4, and that was the last one she had left.
Oh.
Trisha's also out of the game as well. Frank only has Ricard left,
My
and
first
myself.
round pick.
I took Erica. I took Deshawn. I took Zander. Your boy's in a good spot to win this thing.
You are in a very good
Before
spot.
I even knew.
At least I didn't get last.
Man.
All right. So we have talked about pretty much everything that we could possibly talk about. we could argue to the ends of the earth all of the different scenarios. And who knows, you guys, maybe we'll bring you a special content before Wednesday night. And we'll just go through all of the finalists and talk about their games and, scenarios. We'll see.
Did you just...
Okay.
Did
I haven't
you...
told anybody about this plan. I'm just
Yeah, you
dropping
haven't
it
told
off
me.
right now.
We got like
So-
3 other shows and it's less than a week.
So don't forget, okay? All right.
Sweating.
Kevin, anything to plug? Anything else to add?
Yeah,
about
man.
this?
So, this has been great. I'm glad to have been here. Please go ahead and check out my podcast, DCOM After Dark. We talk about Disney Channel original movies. Just yesterday, we posted a new episode where we talk about 'Twas the Night, starring Bryan Cranston. He knocks out Santa, and they steal Santa's sleigh and help deliver presents and stuff. It's pretty fun. Go check out that podcast, 'Twas the Night. It's on DCOM After Dark.
Awesome. Stan, anything to plug?
No, I think it's gonna be a fun finale next week. I can't wait to talk about it. But I'm back at work.
Frank?
Yeah, we'll plug something for Fair Play and Matt. They're having a final party at in Loveland. If you're close to Cincinnati area, I might be there. I might not.
Be there.
So, but
Frank,
it should be a
it's
good time.
me coming is dependent on whether you're coming.
Huh?
I won't come.
Stan said he'll be there if you're there,
It's like
Frank.
I'm like 30 minutes away.
Me too.
from
I'm
it.
like I'm 2 hours away, but like if there's enough people,
No, my wife is what determines whether I go or not. Not you, Stan. I love you, but she's the boss.
No, I know. If you're not coming, then I'm not coming
All right.
Okay.
because it's far. And like I don't wanna.
All right. So that is coming up this week in the Survivor world. You can have an opportunity to hang out with some survivors
Then maybe me and Frank.
long ago, and have a nice little party. We will be back Thursday with the finale recap and the final. The fans have spoken before our finale recap. So make sure you just soak in that last little bit of Survivor content until next year. And we'll be getting 42 coming down the pipe. But we can talk about all the good, the bad, the ugly, what we liked, what we don't want to see again, and just bring it all ready to dish it out in that finale. Frank and I will also be back probably next week to talk about the challenge finale, because we just like to skip a few weeks here and there.
It was the first part, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
So if you are a challenge fan, make sure you watch that finale. We will be back to talk about it. And anything
We need
else?
to set a date too because I'm going to try and get Marlon to come on that one. With
Okay,
us.
that sounds awesome. So hopefully we have a special guest, Marlon Williams, from the challenge. Yeah.
He don't even know. He did say he'd do it, but that was a while ago. Probably need to message him.
We're going to time him, okay? All right, so we will be back next week. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, drop us a comment, let us know your thoughts on taking out Danny over Deshawn. Is that the right decision? Is Frank right and Ricard just going to bring home the $1 million? Or is the dark horse Heather going to pull it out?
Erica,
Make sure you
come on.
subscribe to
What's some
notifications
respect of
every
the
time we
name
go
of this
live.
girl,
See you guys next
Erica.
week. Bye, y'all.